was about to say a few weeks ago, but I did literally last week. So, today's topic, it's going to be a bit, broad and, basic and unoriginal. Only because I want to, I'm finding it difficult to choose one that is simultaneously interesting, or, maybe not interesting, but, not basic, but have it also be a topic that anyone could really provide a thought or an opinion on. So, and I also don't want it to be too contentious of a topic, too inflammatory. I don't really want to do that. So today's topic, albeit it is a little bit basic, is going to be the weather, but particularly if you prefer the heat or if you prefer the cold, because I feel like it is a very divisive opinion, because obviously it's either one or the other really, unless you're indifferent. But I feel like most people have a pretty solid opinion on it. So I will just begin by saying that my opinion on it is that I definitely prefer the cold. The cold. So you can imagine that in my country right now, in the southern hemisphere, it is winter. So I am living it up right now. Not really, but kind of. I genuinely, maybe this is the first thing I want to talk about. Maybe I only hate the summer because it's so extreme. Where I live in Australia, it gets so hot, and it's just too much, honestly. It just gets so warm. It's not boiling hot all the time, but it's around January or February, it gets to the point where when you're in the peak of summer, it gets to the point that it is literally you'll have 3 weeks straight or whatever, where it's 30 degrees or above every day. And to people who love summer, that probably sounds amazing, but to me, I cannot stand it. It's miserable. I hate it. It's the argument that I always use to my father is that it is infinitely more difficult to cool down when it is hot than it is to warm up when it's cold. So by that I mean the heat is almost always completely inescapable. Unless you're lucky enough to own or to have air conditioning, which I am lucky enough that my house has air conditioning. That's the only way you can escape it. That's truly the only way, really. Yeah, you can go swimming, but then you're getting sunburnt. You can eat an ice cream, but what does that really do, it's a nice vibe eating an ice cream or drinking a frozen Coke, a slushie, or eating anything cold, literally just eating ice while it's hot. It's a nice vibe, but it truly doesn't do anything for me personally, not really. So, I just hate the heat with a passion. I think it's the most overrated season. And the reason why I say it's quite a divisive topic is because you always have everyone so excited for summer, but then you do also have the people excited for winter, and I just feel everyone has an opinion, obviously, because they have to deal with it, but here personally, my ideal seasons are autumn and spring, because they're the intermediate ones, because in spring I always get this sense of, it's almost like a nostalgia. I don't know why, as I've made abundantly clear, I don't like summer. So I don't know why I get this sense of nostalgia when I'm entering like spring and the warmer months, and I don't get it when I'm in autumn, like at all. Even though I prefer winter, so you'd think that I'd get nostalgic then, but I don't. I just get this really nice feeling. Maybe it's like this whole idea of like feeling the heat come back, like the life, you know? It's a bit cliche, but I really don't know what it is. I just get this nostalgic feeling in spring and I like it. And then autumn is just a lovely season. Like, in autumn you're finally starting to cool down from summer. And that is so nice. And then the leaves are like going orange, falling. It's just really pretty in my opinion. And so spring, like, when all the leaves are growing back and it's all like beautiful and green, it's really, really nice. But one thing that I wanted to also touch on in regards to like my opinion and like where I live, it's that for me it's very easy. I feel it's very easy for me to say that that winter is the best because compared to like the northern hemisphere, there's not too much of a differentiation between seasons. And like by that I mean, you see in like Texas, for example, you know, correct me if I'm wrong of course, but from what I've gathered, it can snow there and it can also get really hot there. Whereas here, you will only get snow in the snowy mountains or in the blue mountains, or I think there's somewhere in Victoria that gets it, and Tasmania gets some as well, but you only get snow in very specific areas, in very specific states, so it's like, for the most part, it's just the same all year round, and it very much minimizes the changes, because there are changes, but it's not as drastic, I feel, as like the northern hemisphere or like England, where you have your winter where it's, you know, like sun comes up at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then like AM, and then sets at like 3:34. It's like very extreme, you know, very cold, very wet. And then in the summer, it's dry or drier. And, you know, the sun is up at like 6 o'clock and going down at like 10, which in my opinion is way too much sunlight. But there's such, my point is that there is such a shift between one extreme to the other, and then of course in England in the summer you finally get the sun, and you know, there's a big change. Then obviously it snows, but here, the difference is, if you're not from Australia, or if you're not from specifically like this, like East Coast, like Southeast Coast, because like Queensland and all that is like more tropical, I think. But the differences here are much more like minuscule, like smaller. So like for example, in winter, you know, the sun will rise. You know what? I can't even tell you when the sun will rise because I'm never awake for it. But I would have to guess maybe like 7 o'clock, 6:30, 6 o'clock, and it will set. You know, in like the depths of winter, it'll set around 5 o'clock, maybe like a little bit earlier, or start setting a little bit earlier. So, like in that, and then in summer, it will rise the sun around maybe like 5:30. I really don't know, to be honest. Maybe, yeah. I think 5:30 could be a decent guess. And it will set around 8 So, yes, we get more sunlight, but it's not as much as like England, for example. And it's not that much of a change. Of course there is, but it's not that much. And the same goes for our weather. Because of this like climate, we're supposed to get our rain in spring. That is our like wet month. It's not like winter like in the UK. If you like, obviously take with a grain of salt, but on Wikipedia I remember being really shocked because I was reading about the climate, and it said that in Sydney, winter has more total like sunny days than summer does, just because in the winter, in the summer, and in the warmer months, you get the rain, you get the thunderstorms, whereas in winter you don't really, so you get like sunny days, which is really interesting because winter is not supposed to be sunny, but here it is. And that then goes into my other point, right, that, by the way, just letting you guys know, I am completely just ranting and raving, like, I am not following any rhyme or reason or anything of that sort. I'm just speaking like as thoughts come to my brain. So please excuse if my thoughts are mumble jumbled, or don't even make sense, but I'm just kind of ranting about everything to do with the heat and the cold that I can really think of. That I make my opinions, so, and like my experience. So anyways, as I was saying, winter. Yes, I think that's where I was going. In Australia, the winters, you will wake up and in the morning it will feel very cold. And as the day goes on, it will warm up. And as the sun comes out, it will warm up. In Australia, our houses are built like absolutely horrifically when it comes to the cold. They are not built for the cold at all. And if you see the jokes online, there's actually a lot of jokes online, especially from people who have moved from, you know, like a northern hemisphere country, like England, Canada, anywhere in Europe, or like the cold countries in Europe, like, you know, Scandinavia maybe, like anywhere in northern hemisphere. They come here and they make the joke that in winter you go outside and you wear, you know, short sleeve shirts, and then you come inside and you put on like your snow jacket, your boots, your like long pants, and it's true. Like, it is much colder in the house than it is outside because, again, I haven't been to another country in which the climate is very different. Well, I haven't been to another country full stop, so yeah. But, so I don't really have anything to base my comparisons on, but from what I can just tell, like living here, in winter, it's the wind that is really cold, for some reason. Maybe it's the being close to Antarctica thing, I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist or anything, but it gets cold, the winter's cold, and the houses do a terrible job at keeping it out. Like, for example, if you have your window closed, but you put your hand, like, say this is the window, right, and you put your hand, like, there, you can feel, like, the cold air coming through. It just doesn't, because we don't have, like, double glazing or insulation or anything like that, so the wind, the air just comes straight in, which in the summer maybe helps, I don't know, right, because when it's 40 degrees, nothing is going to help. So, but yeah, in the winter, it's really cold. Like, you'll wake up, you get out of bed, and you'll be like shaking, like cold, and then you'll step outside, or what I used to do a lot when I was in high school, and I still do it now, because even when you wake up, like later in the day, it is cold when you get out of bed. You walk to a window where the sun is, and you just stand there, and it's lovely, it's so warm. And then when you step out of the house, it's really warm. I wouldn't say, sorry for the click, I wouldn't say really warm. I would just say it's nice, it's lovely. Like, that's all I can really say. It's really nice, and that is why I absolutely love the winter. Like, it's just the days are so lovely. Like, they're usually, let me put it into like actual numbers. They're like, at the moment, you're looking at, I think, maybe like, sorry, I was like playing with my nail. Maybe like a high of like 20, 19, 21, 22, and lows of, you know, maybe like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, on like the cold days where you get like the, you know, the polar blast or whatever they call it, right? Just when you get the cold snaps, you're looking at, you know, cold days, or for us cold, where the low will be, you know, like 3 or 4 degrees, sometimes 2, sometimes 1. I think the lowest I've seen is like 1 or 0. But it's never snowed where I live. I've seen snow and I've felt snow, but I was very young and we had to drive 4 hours to the snowy mountains where we saw snow. So obviously it's very cold there. But kind of missed my point, kind of lost my point. The days, as I was going to say, the days, they're very nice, and you know, like a 22-degree day where it's sunny, the UV index is not too high, so it's not like burning your skin, and you can kind of just sit out there in the sun, and it's absolutely lovely. Like, I love it so much. But then when you step back into the house, you'll feel like, ooh, and I don't know why. Like, I think it's the wind, and I think it just feels so warm because the sun is so persistent. Which, you know, in summer I hate, but in winter I like. So that kind of ties into my point of, you know, in the UK, where, you know, the sun kind of hides away for most of the year during the winter. Here it'll be winter and it'll be colder, but the sun is always there, which is a good thing. It's just really nice. So that's that. Then on to the nights. The nighttime, I love the winter as well, even though it's cold. For me, the only time I actually feel the cold, of course I feel cold a lot, like, I'll be honest, of course, but when I feel it worse is when it's the morning, when I'm first getting out of bed. But at night, when it's actually colder, I don't feel it as bad. Like, I don't know, I just don't feel it. Like, even when I'm out of my bed, I can sit there and be like, oh, it's a bit cold, but I'm not gonna sit there and like start like, you know, shaking, teeth a chatter. But in the morning I will. Well, back when I was in high school and I had to wake up early, I would. So, you know, but then sometimes the coldest point of the day is around 6 o'clock, in winter. Well, that being said, it's probably the same in summer too. But, yeah, so when it's like, it's winter and when it's nighttime, it's so good to get to sleep. It's so nice. Like, it's so cold and you can just like cozy up in bed and have like the doona on top of you and be all cozy. And it's so nice, especially in comparison to sleeping in the summer, where it is absolutely miserable. Like, I can't stand it. Yeah, no, not for me. And I already like decently struggle to get to sleep. So when it's summer and it's really hot, it's like impossible. I can't stand it. Damn it, as I was was speaking, I thought of something to then go on to, but I can't remember at all. I think I was going to say that, yeah. I also think I'm a bit biased by the fact that I think my body is naturally warm. Like, obviously, everyone's body's naturally warm, we're warm-blooded. But, like, for example, there was one time last year during winter when I was going to McDonald's. I drove there, got out, I was walking in to buy a McFlurry, or to redeem one with my code, with my money, with my points, and I was walking through the car park to go into the building, and this guy was sitting with his friends, next to his car, and he like yelled out at me like, "Oh mate, aren't you cold?" And I'm like, "No," because I was walking around in like a short sleeve shirt, shorts on. I think I had like thongs, flip flops, on. And I was walking in, and he's like, "Aren't you cold?" And I was like, "No." And then he laughed. And he was like, "Oh, I'm freezing." And I was kind of kicking myself afterwards because I was thinking, "Oh, I should have said I'm going in to get a McFlurry." But I truly didn't think it was that cold. Like, it was nice. And that was at night time. That was around, well, not night time, but yet the sun had gone down. It was dark. So I think that I naturally just don't really get as cold as other people, and then obviously the opposite is true. I get much warmer than other people. So maybe that's why I hate the summer. I don't hate it, like, it has its merits. No, it does. Because it's like when I'm really cold, or when I'm kind of sick of the winter, I will sit there and I'll be like, I'm just gonna put my hands on the table and hopefully it isn't too loud. I will sit there and I will be like, "Oh, I can't wait for summer because I'm sick of winter." And then, I get to summer and I can't stand it, it's horrible. And then I'll think the same thing, I can't wait for winter, I hate the summer. But I do know for a fact, that I hate the summer more than I hate the winter. And I definitely find myself thinking in the summer, like, "Oh my god, can it please just be winter?" And that's what makes me realise, because I remember I used to think that I was mostly indifferent to the temperature. That I didn't really care, and I hated both. That I hated either extreme. But while either extreme is not pleasant, being really cold is, in my opinion, so much better, because as I kind of touched on, that's what I wanted to talk about, as I kind of touched on with the going to sleep and feeling all cozy and stuff. And I kind of said at the start, it's much easier to warm yourself up than it is to cool down. And, in the winter you can lay in bed, right, like with the blanket on. You can, wear a jumper. You can, have a nice, like, cup of tea or coffee or, like, any warm beverage and, like, put it in your hand and, like, warms up your hand. It's just so nice, I don't know, I find it so nice. It's just so comforting and cozy. Whereas in the summer, your options are, at least here, turn on the aircon, spend $1 million running it. Or if you live in a household in which the boss is stingy with the aircon, well then you will never get the aircon, so you can't just have to suffer. Which my family can sometimes be a bit stingy with it. But they have a larger tolerance for the heat than I do, sorry. Well, some of them have a large tolerance. Me and my younger brother can't stand it, and the middle brother doesn't summer, all you can really do is chuck on the aircon, or like, not to be crude, but like, take off as many pieces of clothing as possible, like, truly, right? Like, you know, wear a singlet, wear really short shorts if you're going out, or whatever, right? And no matter, like, how short your shirt is, or how sleeveless your singlet is, or how short your shorts are, it is still hot. You can't get away from it. Like, it is there. You're not able to just rip off your skin, and that wouldn't even make you feel better. Like, that is my point, right? That's my overarching point, that in regards to this topic, to the topic of it being inescapable, you just can't get away from it. Like, it's just there. It's like all encompassing, and for me personally, I find that it makes me really, really impatient, really snappy, tired, like, just miserable. I hate the heat. It's not like if I wake up and it's hot, I'll be like on a rampage, but, you know, if I wake up and it's a hot day, and I, like, you know, like, mild inconveniences, if they then happen, I will, like, just want to go on a rampage, because I'm like, like, stop. Like, I'm already so hot, I can't deal with this. So personally, like, it's all encompassing. You can't really do much about it, because then, let's just say you go for a swim. You'll then get out of the pool, or be in the pool, and burns all crisp, because the water, if the sun reflects off the water, burns you, and there you go. And keep in mind, right, if you keep track of your country's UV index, you'll be able to compare it with the number I'm about to spew out, but generally in our summer, the sun's UV index will be about, on a bad day, sorry for the mouth clicking. On a bad day, you're looking at, I'm trying to think, I think the worst I've seen is 13. And then, like, on like a normal day, it's around 10, 11, 9, like during summer, like the peak of summer. So you really, like, the sun is strong, and if you go in water, if you go, like, basically anywhere near water, you will burn to a crisp. There's nothing really much to say but that. So you can't even, like, swim to escape it. Of course you can have a frozen Coke or an ice cream, but again, like, let's be real. What is that really going to do when it is really hot? No offense, I love ice cream. I love frozen Cokes. When I say frozen Coke, I'm sure you can put it together what it is, but our McDonald's, they sell frozen Cokes. It's a slushy, but like a different type of thing. It's like less icy. It's nice, right? It's good, and like every fast food place basically sells them, but McDonald's was like the first one to do it. Like many years ago, like when I was a kid. But where was I going? Heat sucks. That's basically all I have to say. That is the conclusion of this video, that heat sucks. Like, of course, again, as I've said, I value the summer. I do like it for some things. I like the change. But, you know, even on the hot days when the aircon is on, I'll be in the house and I'll, like, walk outside. It'll be like 40 degrees outside, Celsius. And I'll walk out and I'll be like, ooh, it's nice and toasty, it's nice and warm. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then I'll sit there for like a minute or two, and then I'll be like, okay, done with that, I'm going back inside. And I'll come back inside and I'll walk in and I'll be like, oh, it's a bit cold, but I prefer this over the heat. So I do like the heat, but I can't take it in, you succession, like massive, like successive days of heat. I can't handle it. It's just, and then you get so sweaty and just so red, and just, yeah, I just don't like it. Anyways, it's been half an hour already, and like the last video was half an hour, and that wasn't even including, that was including my little rant about my failed video. This one didn't have that rant. I didn't even do my disclaimers, but as always, the disclaimers still apply. But, yeah, and it's already been half an hour, so I'm going to end it here. It is genuinely a bit concerning to me that I can talk for 32 minutes straight just about the weather, or about the heat. Because you can't even say I was speaking about the weather because I barely touched on it. I just spoke about the temperature. But anyways, that's all. I will let you go to reflect on. So it's really insufferable, but no, I will let you go. And I hope that this relaxed you or bored you. Yeah, bored you. So I'm trying to think of a synonym, but I can't really think of one on the spot right now. But anyways, I'm done, as I keep saying. So please let me know if you agree, disagree, indifferent. I'd like to know. I really liked how last video, there were people in the comments like giving their opinion on the topic on weekly releases, and I really liked reading it. I truly enjoyed it, and responding and all that, and just hearing like different people's experiences, opinions, and everything like that. So please offer me some, because it would be, I feel like this topic might be interesting because there's people from all over the world who might be able to provide a different insight, or might have a different opinion if they're from, the UK, for example.